Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks, and I'd like to do a separate video at some point. I wanted to do this for quite some time, that's talking more in depth about video game setups that I've had in the past and what I look for in updating them. But this is my update for December 17th, 2022 of the video game Cove, as I call it, the front section of the house, obviously, from the door. That has a whole nook, sort of porch-like area. I don't know exactly what this is called in terms of a house, but this little room area for video game stuff. It's open-aired and has a good amount of seating. First thing that's a great update, it actually has a place you can sit and walk, because this used to be packed with all kinds of stuff. There's still a little bit residue here, but most of it's already out of the way. It's still very useful. I am trying to make this 100% dedicated to video game stuff, because I've had this section before where it had a whole bunch of Lego piled in here for at various times. Even some other random stuff that wasn't necessary. Some video game stuff does not actually exist here right now. It's a bit in storage because, giant peripherals take up a lot of space. But that's on purpose for why I have them, is so that I can do a dedicated video sometime later exploring those. Obviously, that's a reason that they don't, favor well with people, but we'll get to that in some other video. But for right now, they don't need to be here as the fully accessible thing. So let's start things off on this section. This is probably the least changed part of the entire thing. Maybe one or two other areas we'll get to in a moment, but it still looks nice. We got Pokemon plushes in here. I added a third section for Pokemon plushes that I got over the past year. We have Gengar, Magikarp, Feebas. Had to have Feebas here. And back there is Growfile. He's a little squished, but he's a good boy either way. I'd love to get a Sceptile, Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza, however you prefer it. I'd love to get those eventually as plushes. I have seen the Pokemon website has some sort of sitting plushes, like Scooby is sitting right now. How you doing, buddy? That would be fine. I don't care about the size of them. I know that they're all off scale. Even in the games, they're off scale from one generation to the next. It's no big deal. But having a plush of them is really awesome. I even have a really small Lapras and a really giant Pichu, case in point. Getting Feebas as a plush was definitely a highlight of 2022. You guys know. I posted that all over the place. Some of the things that were in that shelf, as well as the shelf next to it, were moved over. We'll get to that in just a bit. What you doing, bud? What you doing? Just chilling here, watching me make a video? Alright, so... he's licking my arm. So, here, we have a couple of different video game accessory things, a couple more plushes in this area. So there's Toad with a cat Mario suit. We got a sound-activated turtle shell, which currently the batteries are taken out just to preserve it, but it does work. And you do actually get to hit this enough times for it to do the one-up sound as well, which is cool. Disney Infinity stuff. Mostly the accessories, power discs, the portal, that kind of stuff is in here. Maybe a few other extra figures in that bin. This one in particular has a couple other plushes and other accessories, such as the Wii Wheel. I know I have a second one, but I haven't found it yet. I'm sure it's buried somewhere. There's some stuff residual from the Lego room that probably needs to be here with accessories and such. Donkey Konga Bongos, the official ones. So we have a Parappa plush and a Spyro plush. If I get to fit them again, I might put them back by the PlayStation, but I'm a little weary about that thing. I don't remember if I made a video about it before, but the PS4 has made me a little nervous of how much the fan runs. I don't know if that's going to be a heating issue, and therefore don't want to put anything, soft and, possibly flammable near there. So we'll not worry about that. This area looks way better now. This used to be where all of the video games were for the Xbox 360, the Wii, the Wii U, the PS4, the Switch, the GameCube. All of those game cases were in this section, and a little haphazard at that. we'll get to where they move in a bit, because that's definitely the best part of this update. But for right now, this area now has those cube organizers, which you saw on the other shelf. I got a whole bunch of those in the same color, so now it's consistent. But now each of them can hold different games, accessories, or controllers, some other stuff. There's Pac-Man stuff in there. There's controllers for the Switch and the 360 in this one, which is always good because I found one that's been missing for a while. And I'm like, the Joy-Cons that I have definitely drifted, but they've drifted in a weird way. I don't know if this exists for other people. Yes, there's the common issue with this drifting on the joystick. I've had drifting on the buttons, even navigating the menus in the home screen. So I don't know what's up with that. And it's a shame because that's the ones I got 4 years ago when I got my Switch. I don't know. So, bad issue either way. Whole bunch of Wii accessories in here, remotes, nunchucks, pro controllers, bowling ball. Yeah, some of it still exists in here. Again, all the crazy peripherals that I could fit inside of these containers. We have the Pico, the pre-fund printer, and the paper that goes with them, and cartridges, and all different kinds of stuff. I'd have the box moved over somewhere else for right now. The other printer is stored away for right now. The other Pico is stored away for right now. Extra wires and things. We got GameCube controllers in there. I believe, yeah, there's a Game Boy Advance link cable for the GameCube in there. Oh, let's see, which one did I not go through yet? We got the NES and SNES mini classics in here. I have not hooked them up yet. I'm not entirely sure if I want to right now. They're kind of every once in a while I think about playing them kind of thing. I don't think they need to be plugged in all the time like with the other systems. But at least I know where the stuff is if I do want to get to them. Believe me, there's a lot of things in here I want to make dedicated videos about. So, Disney Infinity. I've actually moved a whole bunch of the figures into one of these containers because, to be fair, they took up a lot of space. They look nice on display on the shelf, but I think some other things would rather have the spotlight, and this is still cool to look through and pick out different figures. This is the Marvel and Star Wars editions, the 2.0, 3.0 of Disney Infinity. There's also a PlayStation game in there that I bought by accident, a second copy of it. I only realized that when I got home, and I was like, oh, I already had that. Boom. Here we are on the couch. It seats almost 4 people if you're squeezing. I have the Xbox 360 Connect. Yes, I did get that fairly recently because there were a couple of Connect games I wanted to try out, and it was rather cheap. The games are also cheap as well. This is the layout. Do have to tilt up a bit in order to see everything, but it looks fine. I do like this arrangement. Still exists here. Pretty much this whole furniture arrangement is the same as before. The Disney Infinity figures for the Disney originals are in here, as well as the Pixar series. All still arranged here. I'm still very proud of that for those that were collected. If I had to be proud of any other ones that were put away, the Marvel series, I have the Black Symbiote Spider-Man as well, but I think that's already been up there for quite some time. This subject to change on this one. I'm still weary about 1 or 2 areas of it that I'm like, maybe I can make it a little bit better. I did have to get another Sully and another Thor a while ago because the ones that were here, this guy got to them. Well, especially got to Thor. Add a couple other amiibo we'll look at just a bit. Yeah, he can sit up here. We also got a little Lego view here from the towel from the Lego Movie 2. Sonic peeking over the giant plush head. That's just funny. I got that last year around the holidays. Nintendo Powers. All the Nintendo Powers I grew up with. The first issue that I got a second copy of it in better condition. We also got a couple of the players' guides, especially ones for games that I've played and still go back to play every so often. Majora's Mask definitely was in there, but it's got pages ripped, so it might be a little bit split on each end. This area has a couple more Wii accessories behind it, and the Sega Pico. which I can't shut up about, but I will definitely make its own video talking further about it because there's more I have to explore about this thing. And I don't just mean because of the Lego game. That is the entry point. That's the gateway into learning about this system. But some other things I found kind of interesting over time. This is only one of 2 systems that I have. This one in particular is the one that has the handle built onto it. The other one doesn't. The other one I've brought around and works very well. This one, I'm still playing around with it. Maybe it's because I don't understand some of the games, but some responses don't work, and I still have to try both units simultaneously to see, is it actually an issue with the system. Extra power outlet, just in case. There's another one up there for plugging in everything. We have, from left to right here, we have the Switch, the Wii U, the GameCube, Xbox 360, and PS4. Very nice. There's also an adapter for the 360 and the Wii U, or 360, for the Switch and the Wii U, that can plug in GameCube games. It's actually also built to work with PCs and Macs, and that's fantastic. I have not used that function yet. I've mostly used it just for the Switch games, especially with the Joy-Con drift issue, but happy that it's there. This is the pride and joy. This is the massive update. This is what justified this whole thing. So this is a media tower that I have been looking into for quite some time. Some sort of media tower to reduce the depth of the games and increase the height. Like, this area was fine. It held the games in there, but there were games that were in front of other games. There were some that were stacked on top of each other that just didn't feel proper, and thought, yeah, maybe we should do something else with it. So originally in this spot was a big closet that I have since moved, and that is in the Lego room doing other Lego things. Right now, this media tower is actually on a swivel, so it has 4 sides to it that have different systems on each side. What we're looking at right now is the GameCube side. Each of these rows can hold up to 20 games. Some of them hold 19. It's kind of wavery of if it works with 19 or 20. So we're looking at approximately 62 games that I have for the GameCube right now. There are a few duplicates in here as well, such as Lego Star Wars, a video game. There's both of the both 1 and 2 with the Player's Choice editions. That's the only duplicate. But some other games on other sides will also be like that. It's kind of residual from when I was trying to collect every Lego game in every edition back in 2020. Some of them I have relinquished since then to get other games, and I'd like to come back to at some point, but I'm not in any big hurry. It was kind of a challenge I had for that year, and it's okay that I didn't make it. It was a crazy year in general. We have PS4 games here as well. We have the startup disc for the Game Boy player. There's actually a CD here on a sleeve because it does not properly have a case. That's the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition. And I think Drone Racers is somewhere up here. Yep, it doesn't have a proper case. It's a cheap DVD case. Okay, then we move further down. We got Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color and all that stuff. Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, all those kinds of games in here for the next couple shelves. The systems are down here. Most of the games are actually in here. None of them are really in these systems proper, except I think maybe Galador or like 1 or 2 other ones, just because I had a duplicate of it. So I was like, okay, sure. But yeah, most of the stuff is down here. It also has the Game Boy Advance SPs. I have 3 models of AGS 10, not 101. I wish I had 101s. AGS 001s, 2 Platinum, 1 Onyx, and chargers with them as well. The wireless accessories that go with the Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green are in here as well. There's a few other games I will have to touch upon sometime later. I kind of done that on video before. I'll have to explore later. And this guy, I've used some plushes to fill in other areas just for fun, and this one definitely is no exception. This was a Goodwill find from this year of a knockoff Mario plush. It is not officially licensed by Nintendo. It has no tags whatsoever. It's guaranteed, off model from, some of the straps to somehow how the face looks. But I couldn't say no to him when I saw him in the store. I bought a bag of plushes just to get him, and a similar thing happened with Donkey Kong, but at least he is official. So that's good. But yeah, just a little fun thing there, and I did away with the plushes sometime later. Next column. It's a little heavy, so it's a little bit more to move it from this angle. Wii. Lots and lots of Wii games. And also Wii U. There is a shelf for some Wii U games in here as well. There is the box as well as with the microphone inside of it for High School Musical Sing It. I will talk about that sometime later because the naming convention... Ugh. if you follow me on Discord and other social media, you probably heard about that the night before or so. But that does not actually have the game inside of the box. It is actually organized in here. Same thing with Babysitting Mama. I know it's been facing us for a while that the plush baby strapped into a cradle. The game I took out of there and put into the shelf itself, so I can play it isolated from that. If I wanted to, I've tried it. It's fine. It's literally just you slide the Wii remote over it, and then everything else plays as normal. Anyways, it's immersion. That's what it is. High School Musical Sing It. Yeah, you do need to get the microphone out, but whatever. Now, there is a little pattern here. Some games I have facing out a little bit from the shelf, and the shelf can still rotate with those games facing that direction. These are basically reminders for me that they are games I have not tested yet. They have been in the collection, but they have not been fully tested. So Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I'm coming for you, buddy. It's Christmas time. It does not mean that they work. If there was something wrong with them, I would move them out of here or at least denote that in some other ways. But it basically means I bought them, I just haven't tested them, played them yet. Some other ones I did play through not that long ago, so it's all good. That doesn't mean that they're not in the backlog. A whole lot of these games are in the backlog. And when I say play them, I don't mean play them all the way through. I mean I have put the disc in, it runs, it doesn't mess up anything, it controls fine, or at least it responds to controls it needs to go to the games. So yeah, that's there. EA Active is another one where it's like I've sort of tested them, but it also requires a few accessories, which I don't have all of them, unfortunately, which is very weird because down here, behind that Sonic, is actually an EA Active box. I have two EA Active boxes that have accessories that I don't have that's supposed to go with those games. Kind of a bummer. So anyways, by the way, Sega Pico games are down here. There's only two of them in there right now. There's a Sonic one, and then there is a Peanuts one, as in Snoopy. Some of the other ones that I have not made it here yet. They're in another area with the other Pico, but they will find a home sometime later. I don't even know if they're going to stay here, but for now, this was a good option to put them in. And a sealed Lego DS game pack thing, just because. I think I might even have one with the Essentials kit, too. There's also a couple of Xbox One games here. Since I have a small library of those games, they just fit onto the shelf very nicely. I don't expect the shelf to grow super immensely, and when it does come to expansion for some of these, I will have to swap things around. There is flexibility here. Some things don't have to be in this area or in this room in general, which is fine. It's just working with what I have right now, and we'll figure out the rest later. So those Xbox One games are in here. I do have a couple of Wii games on their folder cases, whatever they're called. Wii Sports and Link's Crossbow Training. Had those since the very start of the Wii or so. I can still remember going to Walmart getting the Crossbow Training game, and I have the Zapper elsewhere as well. Alright, next. Move this out of the way. Next column, number 3, we have Xbox 360, we've got Kinect games, we've got original Xbox games, and we've got Amiibo. So, starting up, got a lot of Xbox 360 games in here, several of them that I have not tested yet, some of them I just tested last night, but there's still a few more to go through. Now, I've made a discovery that I never expected before, and that is when I got the Scene It version of, or the Scene It game on Xbox 360, which is kind of like Buzz from PlayStation 2, where it has its own proprietary controllers of sorts that you plug into the system and you use those instead of regular controllers, which is weird, but okay. Still want to try that out. I have not tried out the controllers or the game itself yet. The game, however, is inside. It was originally inside of this box, but when I took it out, it wasn't a normal game case. It was a really slim DVD-like case. Yeah, I never knew that either. So, that's fascinating. It technically makes one more game fit onto the shelf than normally would be, 20 games. Now it's like 21 games here because it's so slim. But I also haven't played it yet, so yeah, there it sits. A couple of Kinect games are in here. I have sort of tested the Kinect. The problem that I have with it is that this space is not deep enough for the Kinect to properly respond to it. So, there is the option. Since I have another Xbox 360 in another room, I may move the Kinect to the other room if there is a better field for it, in order to respond to things. Like, I tried playing Gunstringer on here yesterday, and it was sort of responding to movements, but not all the time. And I think that's more of a fault of the setup than the game. But then later I can blame it on the game when I have more acquainted setup. It does say specifically how far away you should keep things and how far up from the floor it should be and things like that. The camera does angle, but yeah, I will work on that sometime later. And that will also apply to some of the other Kinect games in here as well. Technically, Gunstringer also is supposed to have a way of getting Fruit Ninja on the 360 on Kinect, which I'm like, oh, that would be a great game to play. The game is supposed to have a code, but is a pre-owned copy, therefore it does not have the code. And I don't even know if it's available in the marketplace anymore. It might be, but that also means I can't really play that game on it, even though I was really hyped for that. It was one of the few things for the Kinect I was actually really excited to use, because I'm like, that's a great idea for it. I've never had an iToy from PlayStation. I figure it's very similar to that, but at least that's a game that I would want to play. Angry Birds Trilogy, I played at like 4 a.m. last night. And that was interesting, especially with the Kinect, because some responses kind of worked, but it felt a little unnatural. I know I do not have Star Wars Kinect. I do not plan to get that. Oh, Amiibo. Yeah, some of the Amiibo I actually had to go back and get duplicates because Luigi and Bowser fell off my shelf at one point when I was sitting over here. And this guy said, hey, I can chew on those. So, yeah, they're sitting in the back right now. I have not updated with the other Amiibo yet, but I will when I can. And, I don't know how much the other ones are damaged. I'll try to test that with the Wii U and the Switch, but chances are they might have damaged to the point that they might not read, because it's not just the head that's chewed on, it's also been the sides of it, I've noticed. And there's some more Amiibo down there. Most of the Mario series I thought would be appropriate to fit on this shelf, because that fit very well. And then everybody else fit down here, including my beloved sealed Mega Man. Factory error sealed Mega Man. That is still a joy to me. Now for the fourth area, miscellaneous. This is an entire area that I did not need to use for anything that's in this room. Well, some things. I mean, I could have fit a couple of console boxes in here, but I thought it would look a little tacky, and I'd rather just put them into a closet for storage. I don't need to access them greatly or show them or anything like that, so I'm like, what else can I put here? So the games that I have in my other room, the PlayStation game of PlayStation 2 games did not have a proper space to fit with other consoles or just with other games. So I thought, hey, why not try it out here? So for right now, I'm trying it here where the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games fit onto these top shelves. I also have a few of the Switch games up here, including the Lego Switch Steelbook kind of thing that can hold up to like 24 games or something in it, just the cartridges. Then we have 2 of the Game & Watch systems. One of them is the Mario Edition. One of them is an original Donkey Kong Game & Watch. They do work. The Donkey Kong one I've played numerous times over the past couple of years. It still works. Moving down a shelf, similar to the Game & Watches, we have the Nintendo Classics. So these are, again, LCDs games that I clearly haven't opened yet, but I love the fact that I found these, and the store that I found these at have them at various sporadic times. Like, they don't have... There's one of these that they don't have there anymore, but they still carry the other. It's like at some point they just circulated through them. I don't know why. I don't know how, but I'm happy to have these nonetheless. Mamma mia. I think I actually did grow up with having one of these, but I don't know where my original one is, if I still have it or anything, or there's a whole series of them. I'll have to touch upon it in another video. There's another thing here that I found over this year, which I thought was kind of exciting. It's like these miniature keychain plug and plays. They actually have the AV wires included to plug them into the TV, and it's all contained in this little tiny controller. Just keychain for scale, you know? But there's apparently a bunch of them. The store that I've went to numerous times, and they only had one version with Asteroids and Millipede on it. I did not find any with some of these other games on there, but they do exist. That's pretty neat. And a couple other things in there. Balance. Maybe we'll balance it later. Moving further down, I have a sealed copy of Disney Infinity from Toys R Us. It was an exclusive with Lightning McQueen and Buzz Lightyear in crystal editions with a couple of different power discs with them. I bought this by accident because I forgot that I had the figures already. So I just kind of stuck onto it for a while, and I'm like, I don't know if it's worth anything. It's just here. Doing a dedicated sealed video game stuff video I will have to touch upon later, but 9 times out of 10 it's because I bought something by accident or I just didn't get around to it yet. But there's a very few things like the Mega Man amiibo that I intend to keep sealed for other purposes. I will fix that later. And as we peek down here, we have 2 sets of Pelican bongos. These are the ones that I grew up playing Donkey Konga with. They were the only ones available at GameStop when I bought them. When I bought the game, I wanted to get 2 sets of these controllers. I'll talk more about it sometime later. But yeah, I had the third-party ones before I had the official ones. And they work just as well. They get the job done. But I still have them with the box as well. They are inside of each of the boxes. And yeah. Games down here, hardly games. So, these couple of boxes, these couple of cases right here actually don't have games in them. They are ones that I have picked up from Goodwill thinking that they had games in them. And I found out that after buying them, they were empty. There was no disc in there whatsoever. They were either nabbed or somehow weirdly put on the shelf in the first place. I don't know why. These 2, however, do have games with a question mark. So, I went to Too Many Games this year, 2022, and I got everybody from Scott the Woz and friends to sign this Xbox 360 pre-owned GameStop cover edition of Madden NFL 2008. Madden 08, part of the channel, and all this kinds of stuff all over the place just felt very Scott the Woz to me. I had said that it is like a good summary of several episodes worth of content because of its condition. It is a playable copy of the game. I have actually played this. I got this for free at a GameStop in a not so great neighborhood, only because they didn't have it in their system, which is weird because I only knew it was there because it was in their system in the first place. But they actually could not ring up a price for it. So the guy just handed it to me. He just said, take it. It's like, okay. Now this one is actually an unplayable copy of Lego Island Extreme Stunts for the PlayStation 2. I got a second copy, so I do have one that is playable. It has also been chewed. I don't remember if that was Scooby or if that was how I received it. But this one is signed by Caddy. By Cat Icarus. And not necessarily like I wanted to get this particular game signed by him. It doesn't have a huge meaning on the channel. It was a game that he talked about in his Painful World of Lego Games video, but this is actually not a playable copy of the game. I received it, I believe, from eBay, where the disc was broken. It had this tape on it. I tried to play it in the PlayStation 2. It would not read, or would not read for very long. So it is actually an unplayable copy of the game. I do have one that I can play, and that's that. But it is an autographed. It is the 2 instances so far that I have games that are autographed by YouTubers. It's not a common thing. I don't have to turn the thing around because we already looked at the other sides. This was the 4th side of it. And then moving on to our final area for the video game Cove, we have more plushes. These are more Nintendo themed plushes from all different things. Some of them I picked up throughout the summer from the Mario Kart series. Some other ones making throughout the shelves. I've had some of these from a while. Some of them from Walmart, some from GameStop. I love the Sprite ones. I wish they did more of those. I don't know if they did a whole series of them beyond these 4, but they're great. They're just a really nice idea. I have a special fondness for the Toy Factory copies of the Sonic the Hedgehog plushes, the ones I grew up with, ones I got later down the way. They don't have a lot of Eggmans, so I got the little one, just ironically out of shape, out of proportion from everybody. And then there's a Mario shelf underneath that. Just gotta move this little unit over to get to it. Yep, I picked this up for free from an abandoned mall, which was just fun several years ago. And then, yep, they got Mario, Luigi, Waluigi, and Wario, and I think Yoshi's back there too. Yeah, he's just facing the other way, but he is there. So, whole bunch of other wires for other things, sorting that out. We'll take care of that sometime later. So thank you all for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any other questions about this video game setup, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll be happy to answer them. If you have any suggestions for things I can improve on, given this kind of space, I welcome it. This is also here as a useful, little stool. If I need to put some food here, or if I need to put some controllers down, whatever. Strategy guide, anything. It's a nice little thing. I'll talk to you all later. Have a good one.